Here we are, part 6. I think this is going to be the last part. I can see next to me 2 stacks. Let's go. Thunderbirds, movie version. To be honest, I don't actually know that this came out as a movie. Obviously it did, but it didn't. Well, there's Ben Kingsley, Sir Kingsley, as Christopher would call him. 2004 on Universal. Okay. Oh, and then we go, Hans Zimmer. It's crazy how many of these I've listened to, but have no memory of listening to. That's the thing, is when you buy. I'll talk about that at the end. So I can't comment much on it because it is completely out of my memory. I obviously watched the Thunderbirds TV show when I was a kid. I think from the 60s originally. There's Parker and Lady Penelope. 5, 4. Is he the bad guy? Is Ben Kingsley the bad guy? Who are they? Busted. Busted were a kind of a pop punk type band from the 2000s, a British one. Not as good as the American ones, in my opinion, or anywhere near as good. Anyway, Eyes Wide Shut, another Kubrick movie. This is a movie I have seen a few times. I remember the first time I saw it was quite soon after it came out, and I didn't really get it as a young man. Not that there's necessarily that much to get, but I think you get it more as you get older. It was his last movie, obviously, Stanley Kubrick's. He died before it was actually released from memory. So how old was he? 99 minus 28. So okay, that means he was. Let's see if I can do this. He was around 70, right? Pretty much 71. There's that guy, Grigori Ligeti. He was in the 2001 Space Odyssey, wasn't he? His name came up if you watched maybe part 5 or part 4 of this. His name came up again and again. Obviously, he is one of Kubrick's favorites. We also got Shostakovich, Chris Isaac, Jocelyn Pook, more Ligeti, Franz Liszt, and some things I don't know. Which one's played when they go to that? He goes to that house. If you haven't seen this movie, it's quite, I guess, what's the word? Pertinence to nowadays, like where we have all these kind of conspiracy theories, or maybe they're not even conspiracy theories, about things like Hollywood sex parties. You know what's happening with Puff Daddy at the moment, or P Diddy, and Epstein, and other. You know, if you go down that rabbit hole, that whatever you want to call it, you find all sorts of accusations and evidence and things of certain famous people, not from just Hollywood, from the political world and all over the place, having these weird parties involving illicit substances and people that maybe don't want to be there. And this movie kind of has an example of that. Not really, but kind of. Anyway, watch the movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Not just for that. It's also, I think, portrays the kind of part of a relationship, a long-term relationship where boredom creeps in, and frustration, and yeah. Anyway, The English Patient, Academy of St. Martin in the Fields, composed by Gabriel Yared. I've seen this movie once. I know one of the numbers on here is quite recognizable, but you see there's no track listing. So it just says original music. It goes for 75 minutes. Here we go, here's the track listing. Must be that first one, The English Patient. It's quite a recognizable piece, so it's been used in other things. We also see a few other songs used here, such as a Fred Astaire number and Benny Goodman. A couple of Benny Goodman numbers. Ella Fitzgerald. My memory of this movie is it's very long. And what year did this come out? 96. It's in the kind of mid-90 period. Ralph Fiennes was very, he was in everything. He kind of, that was his time, but he didn't really see much nowadays. Hannibal, music composer Hans Zimmer. How many times that guy's name came up? So like, I think what it is that I see his name and I pick it up. Seeing who else is in this. Ray Liotta, Anthony Hopkins. Obviously, this was kind of the follow-up to Silence of the Lambs, but I saw this in the theater and I wasn't really impressed with the movie. I was quite bored by it. But this is a Hans Zimmer soundtrack that I don't have a lot of memories from, sorry to say. We also have some other pieces there, such as this one, written and produced by Klaus Badelt. And this one written by Patrick Cassidy, a libretto from Dante's La Vita Nuova. The River Wild, music composed and conducted by Jerry Goldsmith. So you've got Meryl Streep, Kevin Bacon, and who's that? Looks like Al Pacino, but it's not Al Pacino. It's David Strathairn, whoever that is. And this is a number of songs performed by, or one of them at least, performed by the Cowboy Junkies. The Water is Wide. Is it just that one song? Yeah, the rest of it's done by Jerry Goldsmith. Classic. Reservoir Dogs. This obviously, if you've heard it, it kind of mixes together the what's that comedian's name? Stephen. The dialogue from the movie. The guy who does, what's his name? Stephen Wright. He's like the very kind of monotone, straight played comedian who kind of has no, he does the little DJ parts between each part. I'm not sure if he does all of them, but anyway, we've got Little Green Bag, Hooked on a Feeling. Those are the two most famous, I'd say. Magic Carpet Ride, Stuck in the Middle, I guess that's pretty famous as well, with that scene of violence. A great movie, Ed Wood. One of my favorite Tim Burton movies. I'm just saying a lot because I quite like Tim Burton movies. He's had some classics, hasn't he? Some misses as well, but I think a lot of great movies. But Ed Wood is one of my favorites, quite different from the other ones, much more comedy focused. I guess you say Beetlejuice is comedy focused as well, but maybe there's a few parts in this that are absolutely hilarious. Anyway, this is done by Howard Shore. We're seeing the two names that come again are Hans Zimmer and Howard Shore. Prolific, one might say. So we got some music, but also I'm pretty sure from memory there are little scenes as well, like little vocal clips. But I'm not 100% sure on that. But I thoroughly recommend this movie, especially Martin Landau's performance as Bela Lugosi. It's quite amazing, really, the way he inhabits that role. Sideways, another great movie. Music composed by Rolf Kent. From memory, this is quite a lot of kind of modern jazz. Nothing really stood out to me, kind of background music. Not bad at all, but I need to listen to it more to really get a firmer grasp on it. But a brilliant movie. Paul, is it Giamatti or Giamatti is great in this movie. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Ennio Morricone. It's a classic. There's not much really else to say about it. There's so many recognizable things if you listen through this. I guess the two main ones everyone knows is the title one and Ecstasy of Gold. But a lot of these other ones, you hear it and you've heard it before, used in other things. The trio. This is obviously a re-release. I think they re-released this in the early 90s. 85, it says there on the EMI. Because obviously this wouldn't have been released in the 60s on compact disc, but they re-released some of these things in that age when they kind of were becoming the main mode of listening. Hang on, I'm just going to have to go do something to the oven. What I'm doing, if you can hear my voice, is I'm flipping something in the oven. Just using my hands. Oops. The Crow. Not really a classic movie. I'd say its image and its position as a symbol or an icon of a certain period of culture, and also of Brandon Lee in particular, obviously, is bigger than the movie itself. The movie itself is a little bit... I've seen the movie a number of times. And I don't say I don't like the movie. I quite enjoy the movie. But the movie is quite cheesy and maybe dated. There's something about it that kind of makes it seem... I can't really explain it. However, it has some great scenes and also has a great soundtrack. The Cure, Burn, Stone Pilot's Big Empty, Nine Inch Nails' Dead Soul. There's one particular part of the movie where they use that song prominently. That's one of my favorite scenes. The crow flying through the city. Helmet, Milquetoast. Probably my favorite Helmet song. Roland's Band, Ghost Rider. Pantera, The Badge. It's a great soundtrack with a great selection of bands of that period. A good movie, but like I said, it's almost like its reputation is great, far greater than the actual movie itself. Top Gun. Now, who did this? We got Kenny Loggins, obviously. Okay, so this is... Where's the sound? Oh, sorry, the... Tina Marie, Take My Breath Away. Oh, up here. Okay, Danger Zone, Cheap Trick, Kenny Loggins again, Tina Marie, Take My Breath Away by Berlin, Miami Sound Machine, Loverboy, Marietta, whoever that is, and then we've got the Top Gun anthem, which is done by Harold Faltermeyer and Steve Stevens. Is that Steve Stevens the guitar player? I think it is, the 80s guitar hero. And the Top Gun anthem is the famous one everyone's heard. Mm-hmm. They used to play it at a place I used to work every morning, I remember. It wasn't the Navy either, or the Air Force. Against All Odds, a movie I've never seen before. It looks like a kind of a swept away type movie, doesn't it? But I'm not sure if it is. We've got Phil Collins, Stevie Nicks, Peter Gabriel, Big Country, Mike Rutherford, so on and so forth. Quite an 80s line up there, isn't it? Take a Look at Me Now by Phil Collins. I don't have a lot of memories of that either, to be honest. Now, when I keep saying I don't have a lot of memories, is it? I'd say early in my collecting, 2020, 2021, maybe even I still do now. It's not as I've completely given up, but there was a period there for the first 2 years especially where I was purposely buying any soundtrack from the 80s or 90s, or even some from the 2000s that I came across. There was some I wouldn't buy, like the Titanic soundtrack. I'm not interested in that, or there's other kind of movies out, or The Big Chill or something like that. There's some that, but if a movie seems vaguely interesting to me, especially if it's in the 90s, then I would pick it up. And so a lot of these I only listened to once and then kind of file them away for a project one day where I was going to listen to all the soundtrack music and kind of categorize them. I haven't got around to that, obviously, but that is why I'm saying, can't remember that. It's because really I can't. I would have listened to everything at least once, but obviously that doesn't always make an imprint on you after 3 years. Trainspotting, a classic soundtrack. Again, so iconic or symbolic of that time. In this case of Britain in the 90s. A lot of Britpop acts on there. So we got Lust for Life by Iggy Pop, Brian Eno, Primal Scream, Sleep in Your Order, Iggy Pop again, Blur. Oasis is not on it, but Lou Reed, Perfect Day, Pulp, Elastica, Left Field, Underworld, Born Slippy, which is, whenever I hear that song, I think of this movie. And then a David Albarn solo song. I remember seeing this in the cinema when I was 15. So it was an R18 movie. And if you've seen it, you know why it's an R18 movie. It's got quite graphic drug use and violence and sex scenes and basically every bad thing you can imagine in a movie. But I went with my older brother, I remember, and I was kind of like blown away by it. It was just, at that age, it kind of, I'm not going to say spoke to me. It's not like I got a message from it, but just as a piece of cinema, I thought it was brilliant, and it kind of affected me. Like it had a real, I remember thinking about it for days and days afterwards. Forrest Gump, 2 CD sound. Not many double album soundtracks are they? But this movie does feature a lot of music, doesn't it? The music is kind of a part of the movie because it moves through that historical period of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and they try and kind of really imprint that by using the music of that time, such as Elvis or Duane Eddy, and then Aretha Franklin and the Doors as we move into the 60s, and Jefferson Airplane, so on and so forth. So I'm sure this is one of the most common soundtracks to see in secondhand shops. I'd say this and Titanic are probably the 2 most famous soundtracks. Hunt for Red October, music composed and conducted by Basil Poledouris. You can kind of imagine what the soundtrack sounds like, can't you? It's all very kind of like bass heavy in the symphonic performance, and a lot of kind of Russian style flourishes whenever they're on board, trying to show that. And Hymn to Red October. 2 wives not contained in the picture. Oh, that's interesting. Pump up the volume. I've been watching this on TV, a TV movie when I was a young man. So what have we got here? Concrete Blonde, Liquid Jesus, The Pixies, Peter Murphy, Henry Rollins, and Bad Brains together. They're doing a performance of Kick Out the Jams. Soundgarden, Sonic Youth, Cowboy Junkies again. That's Christian Slater, by the way. We'll show you these. Well, how many there are? These ones all together. Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So those 3 there are part of a series, I believe. Yes, I bought those 3 at the same time together. They were like 50 cents each or $1 each. Can't remember exactly. And that's the kind of full. Now this one, is it exactly the same? Return of the King. It is exactly the same. I've just realized. So I can get rid of one of those. But I bought this one separately much earlier. And then I saw all 3 together and I wasn't 100% sure. So I thought, I might as well get all 3. But now I know that even though it's a different cover, personally I prefer that cover to that one. Just Aragorn by himself. But I guess he's the Return of the King. Whereas this has got the whole crew, or at least some of them. Anyway, Howard Shore did it. Into the West, done by Annie Lennox. I think that won the Oscar perhaps, or certainly nominated for an Oscar. Also stuff in there by Enya, you can see. Again, Annie Lennox. Emiliana Torrini. Elizabeth Fraser. Is that Elizabeth Fraser as in from Cocteau Twins? I've never noticed that it's her, that name before. Maybe it's a different Elizabeth Fraser. It's a relatively common name, is Elizabeth Fraser, both kind of. Okay, hang on one second. I'm going to take the thing out of the oven now, because that's probably been long enough. I don't want to burn down the house. Leave that to cool. I want to get through these. Okay, I've got 20 minutes, so I can see if how I can get this. Once the Warriors, talked about this before, New Zealand movie from the 90s, a brilliant movie, very brutal and confronting portrayal of domestic abuse, and a kind of Maori, modern Maori, the economic troubles they go through, maybe something like that, and how it affects families. It's got a mixture of the stuff that was in the movie, also some of the stuff, like the instrumental stuff that was also used as well. But I recommend this movie. Again, quite brutal and confronting, violence against women and children, but it's still realistic, let's say. French Kiss, original motion picture, but this has got, that's also Meg Ryan. Do you know who that guy is? Is it Kevin Kline? And who did this? Who did the music? Okay, so we got a Van Morrison, Louis Armstrong, The Beautiful South. A collection of music that sounds vaguely familiar and also vaguely French. There's lots of French. La Vie en Rose, Via con me, I Love Paris, La Mer, I Love Paris Again, C'est trop beau, C'est trop beau, Les yeux over, Les yeux de ton pays. Maybe they're in Paris, and oh yeah, it looks like the Eiffel Tower is in the background. Now what do we see there? Burn a bee. Some people stamp their name on their CDs, or they stamped their name on the CDs when they owned them, probably back about 20, 30 years ago, and then they get rid of them, and I buy it for 50 cents at a second-hand shop, and I see, oh, well, I've got Burn a Bee's CD. She's defaced it, for God's sakes. Shakespeare in Love, winner of 7 Academy Awards. Music by Stephen Warbeck. Never seen this movie. Speaking of Ray Fiennes, Joseph Fiennes, his brother, is one of the stars of this movie. It's just again, you can kind of imagine what the music would sound like. Mask of Zorro. This is composed by James Horner, and there's also a song on there by Mark Anthony, former husband of J-Lo. Philadelphia, of course, the famous song by Bruce Springsteen. One of my, might be blasphemy, but one of my favorite songs by Bruce Springsteen is Streets of Philadelphia. Also got Peter Gabriel, Sade, Maria Callas, Neil Young, also singing a song about Philadelphia. Music composed and conducted by Howard Shore. God, that guy must be bloody rich, eh? Dick Tracy. Great album cover, isn't it? Very, without all the writing and stuff. Selections from the film. I wonder if the Madonna song's on here. Katie Lang, Jerry Lee Lewis, Ice-T, very of the time. I'm not saying, I'm pretty sure Madonna did perform a song for this. So Madonna was an actress in this. Now, when this came out about 1990 from memory. Yes, 1990 Sire Records. I was really into. I saw it, and as a kid, I don't even think I watched past 20 minutes. But the toys, I absolutely love the Dick Tracy toys from like the 1990s. The little figures, you could get all you get Dick Tracy himself, and then all the gangsters like Rat Face and Shoulders and Prune Face and Big Boy and so on and so forth. Blank, the one who had no face, who I think ended up being Madonna. Breathless Mahone, whatever her name was. Castaway, music done by Alan Stravesi, but not just Castaway. Apparently all these ones as well. Romancing the Stone, the films of Robert Zemeckis. Zemeckis, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Romancing the Stone, Back to the Future, Frame Roger Rabbit, Back to the Future 2, 3, Death Becomes Her, Forrest Gump, Contact, What Lies Beneath, and Castaway. So it's got a song each. So why is Castaway featuring so prominently? You think if I was designing that, obviously people know Robert Zemeckis, and so I know I'm not pronouncing it properly, but anyway, they know, but his name is not like a Spielberg or even a Cameron, so they're not going to use that as the main thing. I understand that, but they could kind of make these movies here more, from a sales point of view. Anyway, About a Boy with Hugh Grant, music composed by Badly Drawn Boy. Now that guy seemed to be the next big thing for a while, around this time, 2002 to 2005-ish. You don't hear anything about him. He never really did much either, as in like success-wise. He was written a lot by the music press, the British music press especially, but then just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. This is interesting. Malcolm X, okay, the movie. So we've got music here, Arrested Development, Billie Holiday, The Ink Spots, Duke Ellington, Ray Charles, so some iconic African-American performers. Original price $32.95. This is Electric City Music. That's what ECM stands for, Electric City Music. Marked down to $5, which shows you, really, like this would have been back in the day. This movie came out about 90, something like that. Maybe a bit late, 92. So this would have been in the early 90s. They were already, the profit margin must have been massive. The Matrix, a classic soundtrack. Marilyn Manson, kind of very much of that age, that late 90s kind of industrial, techno-y, electronica mix of metal type music. Rob Zombie, Prodigy, Ministry, Rammstein. Some great songs. This is one I have no memory of even buying, let alone listening to. CSI. Never watched an episode of CSI in my life. We got The Who, The Wallflowers, New Order, just a random assortment of bands that were used in the TV series, obviously. Drive Me Crazy. Is that Lindsay Lohan behind that? No, that's not Lindsay Lohan. That's Melissa Joan Hart. It's what's her face? Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Why in God's name did I buy this? I have no idea. Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys. I guess you got Less Than Jake and the Donners, who they're okay. Steps, that's a British boy band. Phantom Planet's okay. I again, like CSI, I have no memory of buying this and no memory of listening to it. And to be honest, most of that music there I wouldn't like. Garden State. I talked about this in another video, how that was very much of its time in that kind of 2000s, mid-2000-ish, when did this come out? 2004. I compared it, I think, to Juno. But we got Coldplay, The Shins, 07, The Shins again, Nick Drake, Thievery Corporation, Iron and Wine. Wedding Singer Volume 2. Some great 80s songs on here. Too Shy by Kajagoogoo, remember that one? You Make My Dreams by Hall & Oates. You Spin Me Around by Dead or Alive. We're coming towards the end. Magnolia, one of my favorite soundtracks. The movie, I need to see again. I think I talked about this. I made a video specifically about this a couple of years ago. And I think I talked about how when I saw the movie at the time, I was too young. And I feel I want to watch it again to really get it. Some great songs by Amy Mann, especially Driving Sideways, Wise Up, Those are probably my two favorite ones. Save Me is a bit more famous, and One is also quite famous. And then we got some Super Tramp songs as well, and then the score done by John Bryan, whose music is very recognizable. Worked together with Fiona Apple. So I've worked together with Elliott Smith. The Great Gatsby. Baz Luhrmann's movie. Executively produced by Jay-Z, but we've already got Beyonce, Jay-Z, Lana Del Rey, Brian Ferry Orchestra, Jack White, Gotye, Sia. Don't know why I bought this either. There's a few here, only a few though, that I can see that I just picked it up because it's a soundtrack and I wasn't really thinking straight. 50 First Dates. What do we got here? Bunch of things I even ring. UB40. Mark McGrath's the singer from Sugar Ray. Seal. 311. Drayden Mitchell. I think he is... Drayden Mitchell, I think is the guy from Alien Ant Farm. I think I might be wrong on that. Jason Mraz, Adam Sandler singing. Yeah. Last one that I know of. I might have another box of them somewhere, but I'm pretty sure this is the last one. I've done a video about this. I talked about in a couple of videos back that Blade Runner is probably my favorite soundtrack. Well, this would be up there with it. The original soundtrack to the Berserk animated series, Japanese anime from the 90s. Just brilliant in every way conceivable. You've got the intro theme to the show, Berserk Forces. Tell Me Why, Waiting So Long is used as the intro, then Tell Me Why is used as the outro. No, other way around. Tell Me Why intro, Waiting So Long outro. The rest of it, the other 8 songs are kind of the background music used throughout the series. Some of those songs there I absolutely love, such as Earth, Gats. I've made a video specifically about this, so you can go watch that if you're interested, but I highly, highly, highly recommend this soundtrack. Done. 6 videos, all of them about 25 to 30 minutes each. God damn. But we got through it. If you watched it, I thank you, and appreciate your viewership. Hopefully it was kind of interesting. That's a shitload of soundtracks. And like I said, a lot of them, I just was in a period where I was just buying up any soundtrack I could find. But I'm much more discerning nowadays. A few of those I can see myself getting rid of because I just have no interest, such as that, what was that fucking, that one back here. It'll drive me crazy. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, a few of them I'll get rid of, and maybe I'll show that in a video eventually, me getting rid of some of them. Because the problem is that with all these soundtracks, they are so numerous that they don't fit in my shelf. They're in a box. And so it's harder to listen to stuff in a box because it's not out on view. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do. If, eventually am I going to get another shelf or something like that? I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching.